26, 2022, as is required by law.
The City Council intends to meet on a regular schedule and will meet the guidelines of the Open Public Meetings Act by utilizing the teleconferencing system through which the public may participate. The public is encouraged to call into the conference call system through the phone numbers and access codes transmitted in the 48-hour notice. During the portions of the meeting that are not open for public comment, all callers from the public will be muted. During the public comment period, those who have interest in addressing the council will first be organized by last name, then called upon to speak one time and for no longer than 5-minute period during the public comment portion of the meeting. A timer will chime at the completion of each 5-minute period, and the speaker will be notified that their time has expired. Public meeting assistance accessing the call-in number should call City Hall at 732-745-5007.
Kindly join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you join me in a moment of silence to reflect and honor our military personnel and law enforcement officers who dedicate their lives to protect our freedom, safety, and democracy. Today, please say an extra prayer for the 3,000 service members being deployed to Eastern Europe in the coming days. May they all come home safely. God bless America. Thank you.
Motion to accept the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes.
Council President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes. Madam Clerk, has the correspondence been directed to the appropriate departments?
Yes, Madam President, the correspondence received by the City Clerk's office has been forwarded to the appropriate departments for further action.
Thank you. Now I have a couple updates as they relate to public comment from the last meeting. First, as it relates to 100 Jersey Avenue, the city has no legal standing in the private lease agreements between the tenants and the owner of the property. However, in an attempt to assist the longstanding business owners of our community, Mr. Dominguez, through available city resources, has gone above and beyond working with those who reached out to him and called into the last council meeting and housing authority meeting in an effort to facilitate relocation within our city. Then there was a concern over the time allocation of the free parking offered through the NBPA during snow-related events. Each storm is evaluated based on predicted snowfall totals and length of storm. The typical time to remove your vehicle from the designated areas is 8 a.m., as that is the time that those areas begin to be utilized more heavily with people entering and exiting for work. The NBPA works with the NBPD regarding street conditions throughout an event, and if necessary, the NBPA will issue time extensions either for additional hours in the morning or additional days, whichever is appropriate. For instance, after consultation with the NBPD on Sunday, a determination that some conditions still existed, the NBPA extended the snow facilities for residents from Monday morning until Tuesday morning. And the storm before that, there was an extension of additional hours. This information is available on the NBPA website, city website, and NBPA Twitter feed. The purpose of this program is to benefit the community by giving residents a safe place to park their vehicles and clear the road for snow removal and emergency vehicle transportation. If someone runs into a particular issue where their street was not cleared and the time was not extended, you can reach out to the parking authority for assistance and they will direct you accordingly. Next, a member of the public asked about the shared service agreement with Rutgers for radio dispatch services, and this arrangement has proven to be effective and efficient from an operational and cost benefit perspective. As to the article posted on the city website, this council does not have access to post, edit, or approve content or communication disseminated on said forum. I do not know who wrote the article, approved it, or posted it, but any questions relating to matters such as this should be addressed to the appropriate party, not the council. Body cams, all officers are equipped with body cams and it is operational. So we need no further updates on the status of that. And then finally, as it relates to the uptick in crime across the state, our city being no exception, the governor held a press conference last week announcing 2 related programs. The first one was an $8 million in available funding to be dispersed to community-based organizations to fight violence and crime on the grassroots level by promoting programs with our youth for things such as intervention, education, and law enforcement interaction. Second was a $7 million in law enforcement technology targeting enforcement strategies to go after folks committing these crimes, to get ahead of them and hold them accountable. The NBPD is looking into this pool of funds to see if any are available to our city. We have no public hearings tonight, and we have ordinances for discussion on second reading. The first, an ordinance to adopt the redevelopment plan for the Sears site in the city of New Brunswick. At this time, we're preparing to open the public hearing on this ordinance only for up to 5 minutes per person, one time up. Madam Clerk, will you please?
Unmuted.
Yes, Madam President. If any members of the public wish to speak on this ordinance, please state your name when the appropriate letter of the alphabet is called. Callers on the line ending in 0704 will need to dial *6 to unmute themselves. Letters A through D, E through H, I through L,
Charlie Cradaville.
letters M through P. Okay, Mr. Cradaville. Q through T.
Danielle Moore,
Letters-
yes, skip.
Okay, Ms. Moore, I have you.
Linda Stork, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Stork. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council on this ordinance? This will be the last call, A through Z.
Richard Spencer,
Okay, Ms. Spencer. Okay, the list is now closed. Madam President, the first person on the list is Mr. Charlie Cradaville.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Cradaville. Can you please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record?
Good afternoon, Madam President. Charles Cradaville,
Muted.
Krovil. I live on Saddam Street here in the 2nd Ward of New Brunswick.
Thank you. Go
I'll
ahead,
begin.
Mr. Cradaville.
Yeah, so in
Yeah.
regard to the Sears redevelopment plan, there's a couple of active businesses in this area, I believe Houlihan's and On the Border. Is there any relocation assistance or anything at all contained in the plan that's before you tonight to make sure that what's happening to the folks at 100 Jersey Avenue doesn't happen to those businesses?
Those 2 sites, those paths that are sitting on Route 1, while they are part of the redevelopment plan, they're not part of this project that's coming before us at this time. So they may be
Right.
part of a future project, but right now there is nothing.
Right, so they're not until
Right
they
now
are.
they're remaining.
Yeah,
Right.
under a plan that
Exactly.
no one has seen in the public. So you're setting tonight the redevelopment plan for that whole site, and that plan will presumably be in effect for 30 years under the law. Is there any element of the plan to assist in relocation if and when a time comes that those folks who have operated businesses for decades in New Brunswick find themselves on the chopping block?
The way I understand it, if an area is in a redevelopment zone, that the city does help them relocate. But Mr. Dominguez, if you can add some clarification to that.
Thank you, certainly. Okay, so in this case, we included all 4 parcels now to just factor it into the plan. This is not, those are, as is mentioned in the plan when it was before the planning board, that none of those parcels would be the 2 retail commercial pads. There's nothing for them. None of the overlays or anything affect them. They're included to amend the plan so that they're just there, but in the future we can amend the plan and adjust it as necessary. I think in speaking to the possible developers that there is no consideration at this time, but in the future, if there's demand and the leases elapse on those units, because right now they're under long-term leases, that they may just choose to not renew the lease and then redevelop the site at some point down the future, but it's not under consideration right now. And it probably won't be for several years.
Thank you, Mr. Dominguez.
Yeah, I'm concerned about what I'm hearing. You know, obviously, it's no secret that the developer has already been selected, even though that part of the process is not supposed to come until later, and the housing authority is the ones that are supposed to do that. It's pretty clear from the planning board meeting and from what we just heard that Russo Development, a developer that I understand has done a lot of suburban developments, is, in line to become the designated redeveloper here. And, I don't know of any projects they've done in New Brunswick, so I can't speak to their community credibility, but I'm just saying that now would be the appropriate time to put language into the plan to ensure that tenants or property owners in the plan have relocation assistance. Is that something that the council agrees should be a part of the plan?
First, I just want to clarify that no one has been designated as the developer of this site yet. There have been plans that were concept plans submitted by Russo, and it is envisioned, but they have not been designated yet, so no steps were skipped in that. I don't have any comment as it relates to your inclusion into the plan. I don't know if any of my council mates do.
No.
Okay.
I'm not hearing
Those
any, Charlie.
Yeah, that's okay. Those concept plans, are they available to the public? I mean, you're holding a hearing tonight on the adoption of the plan, but now we're hearing for the first time that there are concept plans. Maybe my memory's failing me. Were those presented at the planning board, or?
No, and they're not anything. I have not seen them. Nobody's seen them. I think this is just something that the prospective developer envisions happening there. So there have been no site plans submitted yet, and that was not put on record at the planning board. Thank you for your questions, Mr. Cradaville. Who's next?
Madam President, the next person on the list is Ms. Danielle Moore.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Moore. If you can please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address. Ms. Moore? *6 maybe? Ms. Moore, are you there?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. If you could please just state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record.
Good evening. Danielle Moore, Moore, Somerset Street. I will basically continue exactly what Mr. Cradaville was saying, due to the way you keep saying yet, that nothing's planned, and see the same thing where I'm going to speak on the same thing with 100 Jersey Avenue, mainly to you, President Suzanne Sikora Ludwig, due to where you were president of the planning board and with the city council, where that approval went through for 100 Jersey Avenue over 5 months ago, and how the people still weren't, even none of those owners were warned. The only one that was warned was the porter.
If you can, Ms. Moore, please contain your comments to this ordinance at hand.
Please, I will. My example, please, let's not start interrupting you. Let Mr. Cradaville speak, and please, for you to understand my point I'm making, please let me continue speaking. My point is the same way with this project where you're saying not yet, due to where with that project for Jersey Avenue, due to where, like I said, due to where with the board, planning board, and the city council, that went through over 5 months ago. that was going to be redone. So as you're saying that, oh, nothing is planned yet, why do you wait to the last minute to tell someone? And then they have to be forced to where I have the papers to where that went through over 5 months ago, because I walked through Jersey Avenue asking any of them owners, and I had put up the sign for the Puerto Rican Action Board as well, that when they were moving, has anyone been warned that that was all to be knocked down, that whole entire area was to be knocked down? And what? Mayor still hasn't did it, and that's the same way you're probably going to do what you plan on doing over here, how you force people to sell their property, even if they don't agree to. And that's exactly what you were just saying. Oh, nothing yet, nothing yet. But come on, as Mr. Criswell said, come on, we expect to see some type of layout of what's going to be done. And like I said, for you to pretend like, oh, you did not know anything about that was all to be come down. The only ones when that paperwork went through was alerted was the Puerto Rican Action Board. How they're making like, oh, they're gonna move because they can't afford the rent. And that was over 5 months ago, where I still have the paperwork. Because like I said, I've been talking to the owners. None of them still been warned that Jersey Avenue is to be knocked down. So I don't even see my point is why you're gonna vote on this, even though that's how the evil the mayor is, to where how you force people to sell their property or force them to move just because you want to build something. And it's just not right. So I as Mr. Credit will say, wow, when can we see a layout of what's going to be done? Whether you're saying, oh, no matter how long down the road, if it is, please, I hope you do warn people at least 5 months ahead of time, instead of going through now 100 Jersey Avenue. Now they have to find out, oh, I have to hurry up and urgent leave. That's not good with what the city council is doing at all. And even though it would have been something better where you're saying to help the community, we're talking about the community with crime, it would have been another, where some people suggested, it would have been something where a lot good for have something for communication, something where people can enjoy themselves in New Brunswick. But like I say, this city council is not right. And like I said, New Brunswick, please start looking into more council members. Thank you.
Who's the next speaker, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next speaker on the list is Ms. Gretchen Spencer.
Thank you. Ms. Spencer, if you can please state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record.
Gretchen Spencer, Spencer, 2 Jennings Court in New Brunswick.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Spencer.
All right. Now, what you're talking about now is Jersey Avenue or down on Eastern Avenue and Albany Street?
No, neither one of those. This is for the Sears redevelopment project.
Sears?
Yes.
Okay. See, I got it
You have
wrong.
any
I didn't understand. What they gonna knock down Sears and build something there?
This is a redevelopment plan for that area, and there is a proposed development.
Of apartment?
It's going to be mixed use of stacked townhouses, apartments, retail, and a proposed grocery store. The plans have not gone before the planning board, so no one has seen anything. No one is hiding anything from anybody. This is the redevelopment plan at this stage.
So they're going to think about building that when we're out here living in Robeson Village. That is so nasty out here. These apartments are mold and mildew, and they're building over $700 million worth of stuff around New Brunswick, but they can't come out here and rebuild Robeson Village. This is what I'm calling about, because I done heard too much going on around New Brunswick, and Robeson Village, especially Robeson side. I'm living in so much mold and mildew out here. I can barely talk
Spencer?
at times.
Miss Spencer?
Yes.
I don't want to cut you off, but can you please save your comments for the public portion of the meeting? And that will be for the public comment. That's at the end of the
And
meeting.
that's no problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Spencer. Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next person on the list is Ms. Linda Stork.
Thank you. Ms. Stork, if you could please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record.
Linda Stork, S-T-O-R-K, 12 Park Boulevard.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Stork.
Good evening. I have a question about the process. So did the city decide that they want to redevelop this site and then make a plan for what the city would like to see there and then put that out to find a developer? Or does a developer come with whatever they feel like building and then get approved?
It can be either way. It can be either way, Ms. Stork.
Okay, so which way is this one going to work?
What do you mean, which way is it going to work? Are you talking about site plans now, or are you talking about the redevelopment plan that we put together?
Well, I'm talking about the plan in general. So there's a plan for how much of it would be housing, how much of it would be retail, correct?
Right, is that what you want to know?
And then you find a developer that will do that will do what the city wants, right?
Mr. Dominguez, what was the process for this particular action here?
So in this particular case, the Sears holding company, because it's no longer Sears, it hasn't been in quite some time, they went out to some kind of proposal to look for a redeveloper for this site. They chose Russo Development, and then Russo came to us with a framework. We vetted the framework, we kicked it around with them till we reached a happy compromise number, and then we drafted a plan that reflects the city's interests.
Thank you, Mr. Dominguez. Ms. Stork, do you have any other questions?
So that the housing component will include affordable and low-income housing?
I don't think that's in the redevelopment plan.
And will it include a tax rebate for developers?
At this time, there's nothing on the board for that, because we don't even have a redeveloper or a site plan in front of us yet. This is for the actual redevelopment plan.
Right, but the city can say what they want in the development plan, right?
That is not part of this redevelopment plan that's before us tonight that we're taking action on.
Okay. I'm a little confused about how it works. But, so for example, when you say like it was kicked around and compromised on, was the supermarket part, I mean, is that definitely part of it? Was that part of the compromise? What did the city negotiate
As of now, it
in the city's interest?
I'm not certain of the actual negotiation, but in this redevelopment plan, there is a site where the auto center is now that is going to be for a proposed grocery store, a small grocery store.
And then the townhomes would be for families, or is any?
I imagine anybody who's like,
affordable housing?
Not, that's not part of this plan, and I'm assuming anybody who would like to purchase them, whether they be single or families, can purchase them.
So they will all be owner occupied.
It's my understanding that the townhomes will be owner occupied, yes, and then there's two buildings of apartments that will be where the actual Sears building sits now.
Right, so as far as the apartments, is any percentage of the apartments set aside for affordable housing?
Not through this redevelopment. Thank you, Ms. Stork. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this, Madam Clerk?
No more members of the public on the list, Madam President.
Thank you.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Egan,
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar,
Yes.
Council President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes. Next is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title II, Chapter 2.36, Administrative Agencies, Section 2.36.010, generally G, for Emergency Management Council. At this time, we're preparing to open the public hearing on this ordinance only for up to 5 minutes.
Unmuted.
And one time up. Madam Clerk, can you please prepare a list?
Yes, Madam President. If any members of the public wish to speak on this ordinance, please state your name when the appropriate letter of the alphabet is called. Callers on the line ending in 0704 will need to dial *6 to unmute themselves. Letters A through Z, E through H, I through L.
Charlie Cradaville.
Have Mr. Cradaville. Letters M through P.
Danielle Moore,
Okay, Ms. Moore. Letters Q through T. And letters U through Z. Is there anyone A through Z who wishes to address the council?
Oh, good.
This will be the last. I'm sorry?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, are you looking to, on the ordinance?
On which ordinance, dear? My phone keeps going in
Emergency
and out.
To
On the who?
The Emergency Management Council ordinance. That's what this is for right now.
Oh, no, and I'll wait.
Thank you.
All right, Madam President, we have Mr. Charlie Cradaville on the list.
Muted.
Thank you. Mr. Cradaville, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam President. Charles Cradaville once again. I wanted to ask where we're at in the process of hiring the person who will be the first paid emergency management official. Has that person been identified? Did they take office yet?
Yes, Tom Dubkowski has been hired to fill that position, and he has taken office.
Okay, former city employee. Wish him well. This might sound unusual, but can you or somebody else define, what constitutes an emergency?
Well, I don't have that in front of me. Mr. Shammy, do you have that in front of you?
Well, Madam Council President, I would say that the emergencies are defined under the statute. I don't have the statute in front of me, but I think if you use your common sense with respect to emergencies of natural disasters and things of that nature, hurricanes, things of that nature, I think that would be a general definition. and I do not have the statute in front of me, which I believe within the statute they probably have a wide range of definitions, which would constitute an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Shammy.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason I ask is because I do feel like there have been a number of incidents that have taken place over, the past decade or so that probably should have been publicized, and the city should have gotten out in front of them more and alerted the public to these dangerous situations. I'm speaking about the mass shooting, where 9 people were shot, 2 lives were lost, and we all found out about it through Rutgers because New Brunswick did not share that information. I think also there's some maybe things that aren't traditionally thought of as emergencies that have risen to a level of emergency, like the mass homelessness in and around New Brunswick, where we have a lot of people, with no place to go, and especially when that's combined with other emergencies like the pandemic or winter storms, et cetera, that can be a really devastating issue. And I also think there's things that we really need to be transparent about, like threats or evacuations that are taking place. I know we've had situations where, the hospital's been locked down and, New Brunswick today is putting the information out there, but nobody in the administration was sharing that. The Nixle system is used, I would say, sparingly, even when there are big issues like the mass shooting and some of these other things. So I hope that Mr. Dobkowski is going to establish a policy for exactly when to use certain channels of communication to spread important, accurate, crucial information in real time with the public, because that's really been a source of great frustration for me as somebody who's trying to inform the public through New Brunswick Today that, the city's not always responsive or, transparent when it comes to these, difficult situations. And I hope that having somebody full-time in the role, especially somebody who knows the city well, like Mr. Dobkowski, that will lead to a clear policy and more transparency about these difficult and dangerous situations, so that people can get accurate information and folks like me in the news media can share that with our audience as quickly as possible. So those are my thoughts on the ordinance, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville. We'll take that under advisement. Who's next on the list, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next person on the list is Ms. Danielle Moore.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, the floor is yours. Ms. Moore?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, once again, I surely will agree with what Mr. Cradaville spoke on, due to where, but I'm very disappointed in this council tonight, due to where how you're voting yes, 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 and you're not providing what you're voting yes on, for you to say what this emergency plan is not, no one can say what it really covers. It's just very disappointed how you're not responding things to the public, but all your favorite words is just yes, yes, yes. And like I said, due to where I see too many emergency things going on in New Brunswick, and like I said, as Mr. Cradaville would say, like I said, out of 45 years that I've lived here in New Brunswick, I've never seen this many homeless sleeping everywhere in New Brunswick, and due to where over the weekend, where hopefully this emergency situation, it will help out, due to where everyone was wondering, where did all the homeless go? Where did the police department get the force in the city, the mayor get them to go? Well, yes, please, I hope you do look into something, due to where how they're in all these abandoned buildings every time, and what is it leading to? Fires. So please, I hope you really do, the mayor does look into something to help the homeless and needy, because like I said, wow, New Brunswick has never, normally you don't use the word never, but never have this many homeless in so many areas where, come on, need to do something about it. It's getting outrageous. And like I said, with all these fires and everything that keeps happening, because they're breaking into these abandoned buildings, instead of you really thinking about what making all this luxury, come on and get rid of these buildings that are boarded up to stop this, because it's only leading to fires. And honestly, due to the way I see it keep repeatedly happening, wow, is this the plan? What, so these owners can get their insurance money back? You may not see it that way, but due to where, yeah, you move them from one location to another, but come on, this is outrageous with New Brunswick, and especially with the crime as well, due to where, is this emergency gonna also cover as well, due to where, like with flooding, due to where we know it's a major situation in New Brunswick? Yes, I would love to see a list of what this is really gonna cover as far as emergencies, due to where, what, I'm still curious, is it also due to where, what, some of the city workers in New Jersey, what, with COVID-19 for emergency, they got funds, but how come, how come our city employees didn't get the bonuses for COVID, for the COVID emergency? None of our employees did. So yes, I would love to see what's covered under this emergency. Because I have to say, I'm seeing not enough honesty and too many scams, and it's surely not enough honesty going through the city with a lot of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Do we have any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
No, Madam President.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Egan,
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Vice President Escobar,
Yes.
Council President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes. Next, we have an ordinance on first reading. It's an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17 zoning for several proposed amendments.
Move the ordinance setting February 16, 2022 at 5:30 to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Egan,
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar,
Yes.
Council President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes. Next, we have resolutions 1 through 30. 21 is being held at the request of the applicant, and at this time, we're preparing to open the meeting to public comment on the resolutions only for up to 5 minutes per person.
Unmuted.
Madam Clerk, can you please prepare a list?
Excuse me, come on,
Yes, Madam President. If any member of the public wish to speak on the resolutions only, please state your name when the appropriate letter of the alphabet is called. Callers on the line ending in 0704 will need to dial *6 to unmute themselves. Letters A through D. E through H. I through L.
Charlie Cradaville.
And Mr. Cradaville?
Danielle Moore.
Okay, Ms. Moore. Q through
Thank
T.
you.
Linda Stork.
Okay, Ms. Stork. And letters U through Z. Is there anyone A through Z who wishes to address the council? This will be the last call, A through Z, if you wish to speak on the resolution. Please remember to dial *6 to unmute yourself. The list is now closed. Madam President, the first person on the list is Mr. Charlie Cradaville.
Muted.
Thank you. Hello again, Mr. Cradaville. The floor is yours.
Hello again, thank you. I'll start with resolution number 6. This appears to be an Open Public Records Act lawsuit against the New Brunswick Police Department. Interested in learning what precipitated this lawsuit and why this council's preparing to authorize up to $15,000 to fight it.
Mr. Shammy, do we speak on pending litigation?
We generally don't speak on pending litigation, but I can advise Mr. Cradaville in council that this is an Oprah lawsuit. It deals with an entity that's not only suing the city of New Brunswick, but 20 other municipalities in the state of New Jersey for the same or similar issue. And it had to do with the denial of an Oprah request with respect to a request that was made, and the city declined the request under law, as we opine that it was something that should be denied. So this particular resolution would authorize the Holden Law Firm to represent the city in this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Shammy.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is part of a pattern of New Brunswick PD being unnecessarily secretive and withholding records that they have and should be public. I believe this regards summonses. I know this is an issue that's come up many times. Surely they have the technology and the access to produce the records, and had they done that, they wouldn't have gotten sued. You know, I've learned not to try to predict the outcome of cases like this, but I definitely feel like this could have been avoided had the police department been more transparent. And I understand the clerk's in a difficult position because she can't just release the records herself. She's got to go through Deputy Director Miller, who unfortunately takes this approach that's very, I would say, closed-minded and you know, overly secretive. I don't think there would have been any harm in releasing the requested records in this case, but I'll move on. Number 7, skyplane setbacks and sheds. What are you proposing to do about those? You want to weaken those requirements, or what change is being made here?
Yeah, the standards are being lowered because currently they're not workable, and no project throughout the city has met the requirements. So do you want to hear what the changes are?
Are you just getting rid of all of? Are you getting rid of all of them, or scaling it back?
No, they're just they're being scaled back. So, for instance, like there's a 0-foot setback for 60 foot or below, 5-foot setback for 60 to 150 feet, and then it progresses. And when you're at 40 feet, and then it's 40 foot for above 350 with steps in between. So it's being scaled back.
Okay, well, I do think it's unfortunate that we're lowering our standards to, make developers more likely to want to develop here. I think there's a lot of other things we could do to make the city more attractive, besides, letting them build bigger, bulkier buildings and make more profit off of every little piece of land they can get their hands on. I thought the skyplane setbacks were a good thing. And, I think it's a step in the wrong direction to weaken it, but I'm not an expert, so I'll move on. Land use application fees, the next one. Can you tell me what changes are proposed here?
Yeah, we are increasing the minor site plan fees from $500 to $600, and that was last updated in 2006. And then there's also a scale for that with a base fee of $600, and then if it's a lot greater than 10,000, it goes to double, and greater than 4 units, it would be triple.
And how about the exemptions? I see here site plan exemptions and minor site plan qualifications. Does that mean you're going to allow more projects to avoid having a site plan hearing?
Well, the site plan exemption in particular is for very small projects with no sought after variances, and the maximum size of the development area is 2.5% or 200 square foot, whichever is smaller. So that's basically screening for dumpsters and small additions. And yes, it is proposed that would not have to go before the planning board.
Thank you for being an advocate for Sugar. And I can't speak.
Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next person on the list is Ms. Danielle Moore.
Thank you. Hello again, Ms. Moore. The floor is yours.
Hi, yes, if we can start off with number four, please. If you can tell me what this $56,000 is going for exactly.
Trash receptacles.
And what to put out more trash cans? What are you saying? Full detail?
Yes, this is for the purchase of trash receptacles to be placed where they're needed in the city.
And
Various
like I
locations.
said, once again, well, either way, like I said, honestly, the way I see you, the city and the mayor wasting all of this money for trash cans due to where, what I say, you're using our city employees as slaves. Because like I said, the more trash cans you put out, the more people start bringing beds, this and that, from other townships over to here. The garbage that you're seeing, and I've proved to you, all of you, before COVID-19 for the past 2 years, it's not what people really throwing their garbage. It's from people not loading their trash cans when it's pick up for garbage and recycling. So I don't even see why the city is spending all of this money to put more garbage cans out, for other people from townships and people that put out garbage from their cars. It's like you really want to use our workers as slaves. Like I said, wow, due to where they already have to work 7 days a week. Come on, that's outrageous. What do you keep putting out more garbage cans for? Whether they're the new ones that you think that, I can only drop a cup in. Wow. Corner Remsen handy. Wow, beds everywhere. So please, what do you keep putting out more garbage cans for? What? For more people to keep bringing their garbage over here to New Brunswick. Wow, if anything, $56,000. And then what? All this other money? But wow, still not to think about, giving our employees working 7 days a week, our hard workers, giving them a raise. Wow, you're spending over $700,000 out of the past 2 months for city, but wow, you still don't think about our employees getting a raise. Wow, instead of you wasting this money on trash cans, come on, think about our employees. Due to where, like I said, stop using them as slaves, putting more out there for them to do more work. It's very sad. Can you please tell me what number 15 is? Is this a lawsuit against the police department, and why?
Yes, it is. Is this something that you would like to comment on, Mr. Shammy?
Well, again, we don't comment on pending legal matters, but this is an individual officer that was sued dealing with a allegation of false arrest, and the resolution would be to authorize the attorney to represent the officer on the punitive damage claims only.
Thank you, Mr. Shammy. Do you have any other questions, Ms. Moore?
Okay. Thank you, even though, like I said, due to where I heard you mention, not to go towards what I was just saying with this, due to where you're saying every officer is wearing with body cameras, so we don't have to worry about anymore. I haven't been seeing every officer wearing no body camera. And like I said, where you're saying what false arrest or whatever, due to where, like I say, I think the city council and the mayor need to step up on Deputy Caputo and Miller, due to where, like I said, much needs to be better with the police department, where we don't have to worry about things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore, for your comments. Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, we have Ms. Linda Stork.
Thank you. Ms. Stork, the floor is yours.
Hi again, everybody. I had a question about that too. And I actually didn't understand so that it's for punitive damages only. Does that mean that the regular lawyer, I don't understand why that's separated. Is he already found guilty and there's separate punitive damages from the false arrest? Like the usual.
Mr. Sammy, is that something that you can comment on?
No. Well, I can comment. The insurance company that insures the city covers the officer on the compensatory claims. When a punitive damage claim is alleged against a city employee, no matter who it is, that particular employee is allowed to have their own independent counsel, and that's particular to this specific case. This lawyer will represent the city employee on the specific punitive damage claims or counts. So he's entitled to his own lawyer on those counts alone.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because
Sammy.
insurance would, that's why insurance. So this is separately for the punitive damage, but in the event that if he would be found guilty, the city will still pay for his lawyer for the punitive damages?
The punitive damage count is for purposes of seeking punitive damages against an individual. No, the defense is paid for by the city. If he were to be found guilty, then there's a potential that the insurance that would cover the city would not cover punitive damage counts. That's correct.
So the city would pay them? In addition to paying for the lawyer?
No, the city pays for the defense.
Right, but then if it is found
No,
are punitive damages, would the city pay the punitive damages?
the city would not pay the punitive damages under the city's insurance policies.
Or at all? So the insurance
Correct.
the city wouldn't pay them either, right?
No, the city's insurance policy does not cover the punitive damage aspect of any complaint against a city employee.
Right. But the city doesn't then pick it up, correct or incorrect?
The city is not self-insured. It's insured through the municipal council or municipal joint insurance fund.
Right, but I'm saying if it's not covered by the insurance, would the city then pay the damages for the officer, or would he have to pay his own punitive damages?
No, the individual employee pays for punitive damages if they were to be found to have violated whatever act or inaction they committed that would result in punitive damages. Correct. It's not covered by the insurance, and the city has no obligation to pay it. Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Sammy.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Do you have any other questions, Ms. Stork?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Do you have speakers, Madam Clerk?
No, Madam President, no more speakers on the list.
Can I have a motion?
Move the resolutions.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Egan,
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar,
Yes.
Council President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes. Next, we'll move on to council comments. First, I just want to thank the Department of Public Works, Parks, NBPD, NBPA, and NBFD for all their hard work clearing the streets and keeping us safe after the storm last weekend. Your service, heart, and hard work are valued, appreciated, and recognized. Next, it's Black History Month, and it began as a week of observance in 1926 during a month that also celebrates the birth of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. On the 50th anniversary of that observance in 1976, the month was officially designated Black History Month. It is a time for us all to contemplate and rejoice in Black cultural heritage and triumphs, and a time to reflect on the continued strides to overcome the adversities that are embedded in the history of our nation. I'd like to believe we have made tremendous advancement as a people, and I like to believe we are willing to put in the hard work in pursuit of advancement for inclusion while recognizing our past mistakes, so we never again walk in the footprints that trail behind, but instead forge a new path of hope, a brighter, more colorful future that celebrates our differences and realizes the strength of our contributions for a world free from hate and discrimination. And I'd also like to just remind the community that there is a Wolfson Park community engagement conversation tomorrow night at Delta's Restaurant at 6 to 8 p.m. Just an invitation to share your ideas for the new park design. And I believe this is the last phase of public input before they start, designing a concept for that. Next, I'd like to ask Vice President Escobar if she has any comments this evening.
Not at this time, thank you.
Councilman Anderson, do you have any comments this evening?
Let us just remind with this latest snowfall, if anyone is able to, and they have fire hydrants that are by their house, they could clear the way so the hoses can be put in quickly. And also those that might be on a corner or something, for those people that are walking across the street, if at all possible, take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Egan, do you have any comments this evening?
No, it's just time.
Thank you. And Councilman Fleming, do you have any comments this evening?
Yes, just briefly, as you said, this is Black History Month. And in the past, I think people have taken for granted that it's always going to be celebrated. But as we've seen in the news media, there are states right now that are trying to erase history or trying to change the interpretation of history and the teaching of the founding of our country and the fabric of our country. And we just have to remain vigilant in our celebrations and to make sure that we teach our children accordingly on how this country was founded and the contributions that African Americans have made all throughout history. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Fleming. Now I'll ask Mr. Dubkowski if he can show you a COVID update.
Good evening, Council. The COVID update for February 2nd. The city's indoor mask mandate expired January 31st. While the mandate was used to curb the spread of the Omicron variant, masks still strongly encouraged in an indoor setting. The city of New Brunswick has dedicated 2 pages on the website for COVID testing and vaccinations. Both pages can be viewed directly from the city website by navigating the COVID-19 drop-down menu. For COVID testing, www.cityofnewbrunswick.org/COVID testing, and for COVID vaccinations, www.cityofnewbrunswick.org COVID vaccines. We will continue to share major COVID news via social media and our city websites, cityofnewbrunswick.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the public comment portion. At this time, we're preparing to open the meeting for public comment for up to 5 minutes, one time up. Madam Clerk, will you please prepare a list? But first, I just want to remind all participants that the public comment portion of the meeting is your time to make comments or pose questions that will be noted in the minutes and, if needed, addressed in the president's updates at the beginning of the next meeting. Kindly be prepared with your remarks, keeping the procedure in mind. This, in effect, gives you time to make your comments, gives you more time to make your comments, and receive the appropriate response at the following meeting without interruption. And now, if you'd kindly put a list together for us, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Madam President. If any member
Unmuted.
wishes to address the council, please state your name when the appropriate letter of the alphabet is called. Callers on the line ending in 0704 will need to dial *6 to unmute themselves. Letters A through Z.
Richard Anderson.
E through H. Okay, was that a Mark Anderson?
Richard Anderson.
And Michael Crockford.
Okay, I have you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Letters E H. I through L.
Marge
Charlie
Kerber.
Okay, I have Ms. Kerber and Mr. Cradaville. Letters M through P.
Danielle Moore.
Okay, Ms. Moore. Q through T.
Jennifer Shane.
Joe Papero.
Spencer.
Okay, I have a Mr. Papero and a Miss Shane and Miss Spencer.
Yes.
Linda Stork? Linda
Okay,
Stork?
Ms. Stork. I have you, Ms. Stork. And letters U through Z. Is there anyone A through Z who wishes to address the council? This will be the last call, A through Z. List is now closed. Madam President, the first speaker on the list is Mr. Richard Anderson.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson, if you can please state your name and spell your last name and give us your address for the record, and then your 5 minutes for comment will begin.
Richard Anderson, Anderson,
Muted.
100 Jersey Avenue. So yeah, so I'm with the group Fair Use Building and Research. There are, like several other groups in the same space. I had brought up the issue of redevelopment options because essentially, again, we were given 30 days. And as somebody had pointed out, there was plenty of pre-knowledge that the landlords could have used to tell us to make some kind of transition. I think that even Dan Dominguez has given whatever his kind of like coherent, pulling things together. Less than 30 days to figure that out is just kind of outrageous. And, we're looking at 2.5 times our current costs at a very much of minimum. So it's like, essentially, if I had had any notice whatsoever, I could have fundraised and created members for our nonprofit organization and found a way to stay within the community. So again, this has just put us against the wall. And, it's like, it's just astounding how essentially the question of for redevelopment projects, where and when is the community impact measured? When were these things reached out? When were we told or contacted, or is there no process to actually measure the impact and then say where, when, and how is this determined? So I'm trying, that's that's my big question for you guys is where's that stage? We just heard earlier in the meeting, another project is happening. There are less people involved in that. And, it's sort of still a question about when and where is this appropriate moment. And we clearly lost and missed out on the when and where for this moment. And, I'm really hoping our organization survives. We're going to do our best. We're still going to do our best to stay in New Brunswick. But, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking about being out of business, losing members. It's, again, the market for space is the same space everybody else in the organization is going to. We do outreach to the community. We have to go 100% virtual and hope that we can survive like we did COVID, essentially, in that situation. So anyway, you have my question. I think there's some weird puzzle here. There's got to be something more that can be done. You know, even if we're out of the space and evicted, there's still like the redevelopment. You know, these people who are redevelopment thought it was okay to give people 30 days notice. Like, do you want them redeveloping for you? That would be my second question. All right, thanks.
Thank you for your comments, Mr.
Unmuted.
Who's next on the list, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next speaker on the list is Mr. Michael Crawford.
Thank you. Mr.
Muted.
You could please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record.
Sure, it's Michael Crockford, Crockford, 100 Jersey Avenue.
Thank you. Your 5 minutes begins now.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm also a tenant at 100 Jersey Avenue. Mr. Anderson has covered some of my my own thoughts about our eviction and the hardship and the harm that we are enduring. I missed the very first part of the meeting today, so I don't know if some of the issues were raised in the beginning opening comments of the meeting, as I thought were going to be was going to happen. But I did catch also Mr. Dominguez's response that, and I tried to write it down, and I hope I quoted accurately when he was asked about, you know, what is the process, and by Ms. Stork. He said, basically, we kick around a framework with Russo until it reflected a plan that reflects the city's interest. And so I have a really simple question on that. Like, you know, it seems like that kind of process actually does exist, where the city's interest is considered in the development of a plan, even by a private developer, not a plan necessarily worked out by the city, but a plan that is presented by a private developer. And so in our case, that seemed to have, it seems like that would be applicable in our case, that our, that Accurate Builders, the owners of 90, 100, and 120 and site control of 140 Jersey Avenue, and, you know, the people who presented this $500 million+ plan, it seems like the city had some participation in that process of developing a site plan, developing a development plan, and so where did we fit in that plan that has been developed over the last 3 or 4 years? You know, that's what we want to know. You know, I've been talking to different tenants here, and I thought a few of them might sign up to speak tonight. They said they would, but they're also very anxious and scared, and they're afraid that they're going to get in more trouble from the landlord for speaking out. And I said, what do you have to lose? You know, like this, it's just business, right? You know, like to the landlords, it's just business. That's what they told me. It's just business. You know, it's nothing personal. But the thing is, like when you abstract everything to be just business, right? You subtract the human relationships that are involved. Right? You basically vaporize those human relationships. I don't think they're bad people. I'm sure they love their children and love their partners and love the community that they're in. But it's just business, you know? And so that's what's happening. And like, I'm concerned that basically, you know, the people who are making this decision for the city, it's just business, you know? So I want to know, like, where does, how do we get included in a plan that reflects the city's interest? Are we not included in the city's interest? You know, 30 or 40 businesses, hundreds of people affected. You know, I talked to, I said, I'm going to run out of time again because I'm not so organized. I'm sorry. I'm freezing right now. I'm sitting in my car. The one business said, we are not going to reopen our business. We're getting out of it, right? That wasn't a choice that they made. It was a coercion, right? You know, another business basically voided out and put all of their stuff in containers. And the landlord said, oh, they moved out. They must have found a place. And I was like, no, they didn't find a place. They're in a truck, you know? And that's the situation that I'm facing. You know, and basically I told the landlord, I said, you know, if I put all my machinery into a truck, you know, it's about 50-50 whether it ever comes out of there again, you know? So I put a number to it, basically. You know, for me to emerge whole from this, it's not a lot of money to a developer, but it's a lot of money to me. It's $30,000 or $35,000. A couple of months of moving, lost income. I gross about $11,000 a month, you know, and to move my shop is about $15,000. So anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 to get out of here and emerge whole. I know that I'm not going to get that kind of money, but I need help. And most of us, I know.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Crawford. They will be noted and addressed best as possible at the next meeting. Who's next on the list, Madam Clerk?
Unmuted.
President, the next person on the list is Ms. Marge Kerber.
Thank you. Hello, Ms. Kerber.
Muted.
Please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record.
Sure, Marge Kerber, Kerber, 2 Comstock Street in New Brunswick. And just a brief comment for those 2 gentlemen that went before about, I've lived in this city for over 25 years, and in the last 10 years, I have not heard or seen anywhere where they have taken into consideration the people of New Brunswick. And that's just my comment on that, okay? Now, I just want to get, my main reason for speaking tonight is because the city is just going downhill so quick, I can't stand it. It is filthy. And before we even had the snow, okay, if you drove down Sedan Street to Lewis Street, okay, there was so much garbage. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And now it's going to be even worse when the snow melts, okay? So besides that, okay, besides all the garbage in this city, okay, the downtown is getting worse and worse. There's more graffiti. I have spent the last couple of months, okay, the last few months, coming downtown and spending money on parking, okay, for my trainer, okay, to have my training, okay, downtown New Brunswick. And there's more graffiti than I've ever seen. There's more empty stores. So I don't know what you're doing, but you're not really making a healthy, happy city here, okay? I mean, it's just getting worse and worse and worse. There was a garbage can, okay, on the corner. I just have to say this because it bothers me every time I see it. There's a garbage can on the corner of Sedan and Livingston Avenue that hasn't been emptied in months. I mean, it's just like overflowing. And I don't know if it's emptied and then it gets filled up real quick or what the deal is. But on the opposite side of the street, there's an empty can. So I don't get it. But anyway, the city is filthy, and I don't know what you need to do for education or whatever, but now you're planning on building more townhomes and more apartments, okay, instead of taking care of the people that live in the city today. And that woman that talked about where she lives, okay, I'm just like baffled why you wouldn't. I don't even know how you sleep at night. I really don't, because the city, I've never seen the city as bad as it is now. It used to be drugs and stuff. Now it's garbage and litter and graffiti, and it's just a sight to behold. I'll tell you. I'm embarrassed to have my friends over. I don't want them to know I live in the city of New Brunswick. And that's my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerber. Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next speaker on the list is Mr. Charlie Cradaville.
Thank you. Go ahead with your comments, Cradaville.
Good evening once again. I want to start by saying I think it's very sad that people come to you for help in these meetings, and not only do you avoid responding to their very desperate questions, but you won't even let them finish their sentence. You cut the gentleman off in the middle of his sentence in the interest of speeding things up and getting through the meeting. And so please don't act like you're doing us a favor by delaying responses to questions a full 2 weeks instead of responding in real time. You're not doing us a favor. I've been coming to these meetings longer than you have, and I remember a time when you would be called on, you'd raise your hand, and you could speak for an unlimited amount of time, ask as many questions as you want, and there was a real dialogue. So please don't pretend that your changes to the way you run the meetings is doing us a favor. You're doing yourself a favor, and it started with Egan, Escobar, Anderson, and now you've done it. You've all chipped away at the good dialogue that existed in New Brunswick council meetings to cover yourself. Did you not institute a 5-minute time limit, sir?
Please continue with your comments, Mr. Cradaville.
Mr. Egan interrupted me.
I
I'd
did
like
not.
him to respond now. You didn't.
No, you're wrong, because I'm going to speak up, Mr. Credible. That ordinance, Mr. Shammy can speak on it. That ordinance about the 5-minute rule was long in place before you or I got there, Mr. Credible. So you're wrong.
But what was the practice?
Thank
what
you.
was
Thank
the practice, sir?
Thank you, Councilman Egan.
Okay. So I also want to point out that when you say you're going to answer questions at the next meeting, that doesn't really come to pass. I've been asking about this page on the city website, gun violence, firearm facts. It includes a false statement that smears a victim of murder. I've been asking about it since it was published on November 12th. It's still on the city website. You answered a question at the beginning of this meeting saying, I don't know who wrote it. Ma'am, that is not good enough. You know how to find out who wrote it. Is Mr. Barron on the call? Can we ask him right now who gave him that statement to publish on the city website? Or are you going to continue covering for the people who smeared a victim of murder for another 2 weeks? It'll be easier if we just get it over with now. Can you ask Mr. Barron who gave him the statement to post on the city website, gun violence, firearm facts?
No, you can continue with your comments, Mr. Cradaville.
No, you're not going to make Mr. Barron available. Well, the questions are in writing to him, and I look forward to his answers. And I'll move on to the next topic, the Middlesex County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund, which was referred to earlier today as the city's insurance company. Not exactly an insurance company, it's a government agency, and they are, it was discovered recently that they have a deficit of $24 million. The city's share of the deficit is more than $4 million. I asked about this at a previous meeting. I got responses only after I emailed you again to get them, and you kind of glossed over it at the last meeting. You said, oh, those questions were addressed via email. I'd like you to respond to how on earth this government agency that the city is a part of ran up a $24 million deficit. Was there mismanagement or poor oversight? How does that happen? You passed a resolution to rejoin. You passed a resolution to rejoin this. This is why I brought this up. And were you unaware of the $24 million deficit?
I'm noting your comments, Mr. Cradaville, and continue with your conversation.
Okay. How about the fire? I'm looking at a house right now out my window, 146 Townsend. It caught fire several weeks ago. I've asked 5 times in writing. I've asked at multiple meetings of this council, when am I going to get a response about what caused the fire and if anybody was injured or killed? How many weeks does somebody have to wait to get answers now under your regime? This is sad. This is really sad. And I also want to bring up that there's a lawsuit against the planning board. It's because of your conduct, Madam Council President, at a planning board meeting where one of the board members was not comfortable moving ahead because an objector was not being given the chance to make a case, to cross-examine witnesses. And while that question was still being evaluated, you made a motion to approve, and Mr. Stellatella seconded it, and you rushed through this application. Now the planning board's being sued, and this is going to be litigated in Superior Court. Can I understand, is Mr. Aravind Ithal going to do this as part of his salary, or is the city taxpayers going to be on the hook for more?
Thank you for your comments and questions, Mr. Cradaville. Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next person on the list is Ms. Danielle Moore.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, the floor is yours.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you
May
hear me?
I ask a question? Yes, may I ask Mr. Shammy a question?
I can note your questions and anything will be addressed at the following meeting. You can make comments and pose your questions, but they'll be answered at the next meeting.
Okay. My question is for a point. Okay, if I like a New Brunswick police officer, whether he's off duty or not, and this is not a joking matter, due to where one of these officers said to me, and I'm going to compare the difference. If I like a New Brunswick police officer, whether he's in uniform or not, am I allowed to go grab him just because I like him? Please, I have to say, these New Brunswick police officers are not taking this seriously, and I tell you, sure, they've been letting me see ever since I've been saying, oh, complained about it. Oh, they've been letting me see they're out there, but please, what are these officers getting paid $200,000 for what? You really want to know why the crime is up in New Brunswick? It's because of what? Mayor Cahill, Deputy Chief Caputo, and Captain Miller. Like I said, I've lived here 45 years. I'm a photographer. I get a lot of the pictures, evidence as well, but I can't show you the evidence. Please, if these three would stop judging by color and judging by the location of where you live and just take all matters seriously, with people starting to respect the law, you would see a better thing due to where, wow, how a police car right there, wow, 25 miles per hour, you let the car do 60 miles per hour. Wow. Hit and run accident, you let the vehicle go, no ticket, no arrest. Drinking and driving, where what? No ticket, no arrest. You're letting people break the law, and now New Brunswick feels what they can do whatever they want. Whether going up to grab somebody, whether you call the police or not to do nothing. But please, like I said, God bless us. About 10 officers, like I said, do have good hearts, and I pray you pass your heart on. But like I said, the three problems with this police department, that's Mayor Cahill, Deputy Caputo, and Captain Miller, due to where, like I said, by videos, wow. You see the video with the white young lady beating the officer up. Wow, you see New Brunswick Police Department sitting there watching. Wow, you see a video of two black gentlemen fighting. Wow, you see the whole police department barge in. But wow, you wouldn't help the officer back in with the video. Oh, and it's still being shared. So like I said, plenty of videos, like I said, that you would love due to where I can't provide at the meetings due to where we're over the phone. But like I say, New Brunswick has never been this bad here. I've been a resident 45 years all my life. And like I said, wow, one thing I'm surely not feeling safe for, even though I'm usually not scared to go anywhere. But wow, how you're allowing 35% of New Brunswick residents to break the law, where, come on, you wouldn't allow a black person to have tinted windows where you can't even see the driver. When I call in for a hit and run, what does the driver look like? You can't even see the drivers throughout here. Your New Brunswick Police Department is letting people break the law, so nobody's respecting the law. And until these three get in order and get this police department right, New Brunswick can be a much better place for start. Due to where, like I say, please. New Brunswick is not, honestly, worse than Trenton. If you're asking me, all of this crime, all of this filthy, which I told you why, it's because you're with these garbage cans you're putting out, and what with the homeless, with all these abandoned buildings. Now what, due to where Jersey Avenue is to be knocked down, now that's where all the homeless is staying in, what, for another fire to start? What, so all they can get their insurance money back? Like I said, got a very lot of dishonest people with this city, and it's just not right. But like I said, out of my 45 years of growing up in New Brunswick, I've never seen nothing like this in New Brunswick.
for your comments, Ms. Moore. Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the next person on the list is Mr. Papero.
Unmuted.
Yeah, Mr. Preparo, if you could please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Joe Papero. I'm an attorney at Porzio, Bromberg, and Newman. My office is located at 100 Southgate Parkway in Morristown, New Jersey. Good evening, council members. I wanted to appear this evening to respond to a number of the comments made both this evening at prior council meetings, and also it's come to my understanding that at the Housing Authority meeting regarding the Jersey Avenue project. Jersey Avenue NB Urban Renewal LLC is my client, and I just wanted to clear the record and correct the record from some of the statements that have been made, both at the prior council meeting as well as at the Housing Authority. The Jersey Sanford redevelopment plan has a provision regarding what's required as part of the redevelopers moving forward with the project. The redeveloper, my client, is in full compliance with the Jersey Sanford redevelopment plan. There's also an executed redevelopment agreement with the city of New Brunswick regarding the obligations of the redeveloper for the project. And again, my client is in full compliance with the redevelopment agreement that was executed between the city and the redeveloper. It's important to note that the tenants that have seemed to be voicing concerns and questions, those leases have long since expired. They are not tenants with valid leases. Their redeveloper is required to give notice, and that procedure has taken place. Again, just to clear up some confusion, the project has not proceeded to the planning board. That will happen at the appropriate time. I hear comments about the construction and things happening. The applicant redeveloper still is required to appear before the planning board with its application. So I just wanted to, again, just straighten out the process for those that may not be as familiar with it or be confused. But again, the city of New Brunswick established the Jersey Sanford redevelopment plan with specific procedures and guidelines, and all of which my client is following with regard to the existing tenants and what is the redeveloper's obligation for those tenants. So I appreciate the time, and I hope I've answered some of the questions and addressed some of the concerns. But again, according to my records of who's spoken this evening, the individuals that have come forward do not have current leases at this location, which has legal significance as to what the proper procedure is. So just wanted to again clarify, and thank you, Council President and the council members for your time this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Preparo. Who's next, Madam Clerk?
Unmuted.
Madam President, the next speaker on the list is Ms. Shane.
Thank you. Ms. Shane, if you can please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record.
Hi, Jen Shane, S-H-A-N-E. I'm
Muted.
From 100 Jersey Avenue. I'm also a member of the makerspace that Mr. Anderson is representing. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We've existed for 12 years in the New Brunswick area. We've been at 100 Jersey Avenue for 7 years. And I want to address the previous speaker's comments. Yes, we as of 2 days ago, we were tenants of the building paying month to month. Our previous leases were not renewed by the owner of the building. As Mr. Crockford has said previously, he spoke directly to the people representing the owners of the building, and they assured him that the building had not been sold. So, you know, we were not under the impression that our standing in the building was so unstable. And I want to underscore the financial significance of this for us. I know Mr. Dominguez is on the line, and I want to say I appreciate the time that he's taken in sending me potential locations. It's unfortunate that they haven't panned out. One of the reasons they haven't panned out is our rent in that building was $8 a square foot. Equivalent spaces in New Brunswick are going for $18 a square foot. At the size of space that we're looking for, that's $25,000 a year that we were given a month to prepare to pay for. I mean, that's impossible. You know, our organization is something that I really care about. It's not my livelihood. You know, it's a volunteer-run organization, but it's added great benefit to my life. And there are other organizations in the building that are just as meaningful to other people. I think when people drive past that building, you know, maybe they see what it looks like on the outside and they don't think about what's on the inside. But it's provided a valuable space for small businesses and organizations in New Brunswick to flourish. And, you know, this is really distressing for a lot of people. And I understand that, you know, the city had some back and forth in coming up with this redevelopment plan. And to my understanding, it's not unusual for redevelopment plans to offer relocation assistance for tenants that are displaced. And I think if there's any way that the city could revisit the plan and try to put something like that in place, that would go a long way to making a lot of people feel better about this. Certainly, that would really help our organization. We're looking at moving costs that are, you know, I mean, with the amount of notice that we were given, they're impossible. I mean, we've been lucky that we're a volunteer organization and we've had people helping us, you know, move our equipment out, but all of our equipment is in storage now. So we're looking at, you know, the longer we're without a space, the more likely it is we'll lose members. You know, it's a really terrible situation for us. And if there's anything the city can do, I mean, people have been very upfront that the city can't offer financial assistance, but this really is a problem of money. And at this moment, I don't know what assistance that's not financial could possibly help us. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Madam Clerk, who's the next speaker?
Madam President, the next speaker on the list is Ms. Spencer.
Thank you. Ms. Spencer, if you can please state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record.
Gretchen Spencer, Spencer, 2 Jennings Court, New Brunswick, New Jersey, 08901.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. You can begin your comments now.
Now, I'm hearing, from what I heard the other night, that they're going to build either a $700 million building downtown, or is it $170 million? Either way, nobody's thinking about out here in Robeson Village. I've been trying to get this place tore down for almost 50 years. It's a rat hole. People are getting sick. I got a lady in the hospital. I'm losing my voice behind all this weather and stuff. It's a lot of mold out here. I know I sound like a man, don't I? Yeah, 'cause the later it gets, the worse it gets. But yeah, this place is bad. Pipes are busting in between the walls. It's causing mold out here. People, I walked into one apartment where the people just moved in a year or so ago. They ain't been in the apartment a good month, and it was raining as soon as you walk in the door. They never fixed the apartment up right. I've been trying to talk with housing. I've called HUD in Newark. I called HUD in Washington, D.C. I talked with housing. Now you can't even get nobody on the phone if you want them. You really can't talk to nobody. This lady is in the hospital. She's on machines. She needs a 2-bedroom. She can't even get out of here. The vents are so mold and mildew. When you turn the heat on, she gets sick as a dog. She can't even keep her heat on, and they won't give her another apartment. And I think it's wrong. They have moved her in the one and claimed she messed that up when it comes to find out it was the bathtub leaking in between the ceiling. The buildings are leaning, they're sinking bad. But if you go up underneath, and I've heard too many of the workers that have come out here, electricians and everybody, saying, you don't want to, I know I done looked under there, but I am not going up under there. This place is, if you lived out here for 2 or 3 years, you'll have asthma, like the rest of us. Robeson side is going to hell in a handbasket, and Swart side is falling right behind us. And everything is being built up downtown. Every time I hear something, when I get on it, I hear people call me and tell me what's going on. I don't have to get out of bed to go nowhere. And people, what they build? I said, what do you mean what they build or something? And then when I find out, I said, and we can't even get this place rebuilt. Every housing authority in New Jersey is getting rebuilt but us. And we're the oldest ones in New Jersey. And the worst ones. And when I say when the heat comes on, don't nothing come out the vents but dust and mold. You just clean your house one day, by later on at night, the dust is coming back in, especially in the wintertime. You do good during the summer and when the heat's not on, when you don't need the heat. But in the wintertime, it's a mess out here. These buildings have got to go. One girl's house, I walked in, I had to walk back outside. Her cabinets done leaked from the bathroom down. When I looked at the mold between the walls after they came and tore the walls out to put in new cabinets and didn't even want to spray bleach to clear that mold up, she had to do it. I done been in too many apartments that look like this. And Fleming and Escobar know that they done been out here to my house. These places aren't, especially for the handicapped, they're really not for the handicapped. Because if you need a wheelchair, like I'm in one right now because I had a foot operation, I can't get in the bathroom. The bathroom's so small, I can stretch my arms out and make a fist and touch each wall. The toilet's so close to the sink, if you don't sit right, you're going to crack your butt. This place needs to go. It's making people literally sick. And the lady that's in the hospital now, I done told her, I said, I'm getting ready to go on. They don't even want to move her to the other, she was on the other side. They don't want to move her back into a 2-bedroom. They're trying to make excuses for her. She is really sick. This place is literally, especially with the vents, they've never been cleaned in their life.
Ms. Spencer, thank you for your comments. I'm going to ask Vice President Escobar, she's our liaison to the Housing Authority, if you could please reach out to them and get information about the concerns Ms. Gretchen is stating tonight, and then just forward that to me at your convenience, please.
I will do. I'm doing it as she was talking. I was already communicating.
Thanks. I knew you were, but I just wanted to put it out there. Thank you, Ms. Spencer, for your comments. I hope you feel better. Who's next on our list, Madam Clerk?
Madam President, the last speaker on the list is Ms. Linda Stork.
Thank you. Ms. Stork, the floor is yours.
Thank you. That is very disturbing to hear about the mold situation. I mean, spraying bleach is a minimum. That sheetrock should really come out, and it should be new sheetrock on top of everything else. It's bad enough to have asthma or allergic reaction to the mold, but that's also a complicating factor for COVID and can make even the Omicron be fatal because it would constitute a pre-existing condition. That is very disturbing. Wow. Okay, I had wanted to comment on the $8 million and the $6 million available from the state. That it was stated that New Brunswick would, see if that was available. Well, apparently the 8 million, which is the community, for the community organizations or, the efforts to do violence prevention within the community, apparently is not available because they published a list in the paper already of all the people that got it. And New Brunswick was not in there. Some cities got multiple different grants. But, I mean, I guess you had to apply for it. And the 6 million that's to the, you know, for more police stuff, I don't know. I mean, maybe that hasn't been all doled out yet, but except for the maybe some strategically placed cameras, I didn't see anything in that list that would seem to be helpful. And I agreed with Ms. Moore. More garbage cans, if you don't have enough people to empty the ones that are already out there, or maybe the theory is they wouldn't have to be emptied as often if there were more of them. But the basic problem is if people are working 7 days a week, they're going to burn out. It's hiring the people. I don't really see it because the guys that come here, they still, you know, they do a great job, and you know, if they're working 7 days, I don't know, they don't complain. They just keep doing a great job. But I did see it in the with the parks and the shade trees commission. I see like dozens of trees sitting there, you know, to be chipped. We wasted dozens of trees, like half-grown trees. I can't even imagine what that cost. But anyway, they're going to be chipped because they didn't get put in the ground. We need to get you know, full city staff back. It's very, you know, evident over at Bucalo that they're, you know, running and short-staffed, and whatever needs to be done, they've loosened up the CARES Act money can be used different ways now. So maybe, you know, less jobs, but pay more to each person. It would be better, you know, for example, to get 6 people on board, even if you have to pay them more. And as Ms. Moore also stated, I think all the people that hung in there during COVID, you know, could deserve to be paid more too. If that's what it takes to get people, then get the people. It would be better than having, you know, say 10 openings and you can't fill them. If you can make 6 higher paid jobs and get 6 people in a given department that needs workers, then I would think that would be a good idea to do. I also really feel for the people in that redevelopment plan in Jersey Ave. That's not just because you don't get your lease renewed and you're going month to month. If the landlord assures you, you know, that there's no immediate plan affecting your future, yeah, a month's notice is just ridiculous. And it would seem these would be the kind of you know, the kind of entities that we would want in our town. So that everything, you know, possible would be done to help them to stay here, and at a minimum they just could have been given more notice.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Stork. Is there anyone else for public comment, Madam Clerk?
No, Madam President.
Thank you.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson. All right. Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Council Vice President Escobar.
Yes.
Council President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.